All right, good evening. My name is Jumoke, and today is our 26th edition of Power Session with Jumoke, where we talk about project management or project-related topics. We focus on these topics to help individuals preparing especially for PMP or other certifications. So far, we've been doing focus on PMP. We've done the PMBOK 8th edition. We looked at what will change in the exam and all that. Now, today, I've been saying that once you've had your 35-hour training, you don't need more than 2 weeks to actually prepare for the exam. So this is my presentation on how you can prepare for the exam within 14 days and be exam ready. So 14 days to PMP, thinking like PMI, answering like a pro. The learning objectives are this. We'll be explaining the PMP exam content outline. The entire roadmap is based on the PMP exam content outline and how its 3 domains shape exam questions and weighting. So you see that the roadmap is according to the 3 domains. The domains are people, process, and business environment. And then learning objective 2, identify common traps and mistakes that cause experienced professionals to fail the PMP exam and how to avoid them. The PMP exam is not about how professional you are, the number of projects you have managed, because I've seen people that have managed projects fail PMP. Yours truly actually failed PMP before I eventually passed, because I felt, what are they going to do in the exam prep? I've been managing projects, for years. It's no big deal. So this session would help you identify possible mistakes and avoid them. And then the third objective is I'll be presenting a structured, disciplined, I should have underlined disciplined 14-day study plan that prioritizes high-value topics, practice questions, and exam readiness to you. My assumption, or what I assume you should do for this to make meaning or be productive for you, is that 1, you already have baseline project management knowledge. You have done your 35-hour training. Today in the morning, I kept saying this is not 35-hour training. So my presentation today is based on the assumption that you've had that, 1, and then 2, you are managing projects. So you understand terms, you understand phrases, you will understand certain scenarios. All right. So that is the first assumption. The second assumption is that you will be committed to a study time of 2 to 3 hours per day. And this is where people are, I'm busy, I have been promoted, they have been sent to a different department. Oh, do you mean my wife just gave birth? Or me, myself, I just gave birth. There are good reasons. But sometimes I see them as excuses. Because if you want something real bad, you make the commitment, you make the sacrifice. And if you'll be sacrificing 2 weeks to get this done, come on, you'll be able to do it. So for these 14 days to work, you should have study time of 2 to 3 hours per day. And the third assumption is this goal, that this 14 days is to prepare you for exam, is to get you ready. And it is not me spewing theory to you, okay? So already we know that people is 42% of your exam, process is 50% of your exam, and business environment is 8% of your exam. So now let's look at the 14-day PMP study plan. I don't know how many of you have seen the exam content outline. If you have not seen it and you don't know how to get it, let me know and I'm happy to share it with you. Maybe I should share it in I think I will share it in my channel for you to download it. Okay, so let's roll. Day 1. The one is focusing on you checking how you think. And the focus is for you to think PMI's way. not your way, not how I do things. So the objective for day one is to understand PMP exam structure. That is 180 questions, is 230 minutes. You have 10 minutes break 2 times in the exam, which is going to change. Then internalize PMI values and 7 leadership mindset. PMP focuses on situational leadership, 7 leadership, use 7, your team members, focusing on value delivery, PMI values, win-win situation, adhering to ethics, stakeholder engagement. These are some of the values that PMI has that you may not actually be practicing in your organization. So that is why you need to unlearn everything you know about project management and learn how PMI expect projects to be managed. Okay. Then thirdly, what you'll be doing on the first day is understand the ECO domains and tasks, the exam content outline. And I said that if you have not seen it, please let me know. If you are interested, I will send it to you. Okay. I will share it in the channel. It's easier to share in the channel. If you're not on my channel, so let me know. It's just that I keep missing messages sent to me directly because I do receive tons of messages. Okay. Now, your activities on day one will be for you to review the examination content outline task for all the 3 domains: the people, the process, and the business environment. Then you read the PMI code of ethics. There are things this you can download easily from PMI's website. If you want me to send it to you too, I will send it to you because I'm committed. I'm invested in you passing PMP. So that I can do for you. It focuses on your responsibility, respect, fairness, honesty. Responsibility. Sometimes we say that I'm responsible for my action. That's not full stop. It's a comma. There's a comma there. And you're also responsible for your inaction. If you're supposed to have taken an action and you did not take the action, and it came with repercussions, you are responsible for that as well. And then respect yourself, respect others. Fairness, this is a decision you are making. Are you being fair to all concerned and you being honest? All right. And then the third activity that you should know is that you need to review agile versus predictive versus hybrid decision logic. What would make you go for agile? What will make you go for predictive? If the scope of the project is clear, you know the end, what is going to happen exactly at the end, and the stakeholders are okay with value being delivered at the end of the project, then you go for predictive. But when you know that, okay, I'm supposed to build this structure, but the content, the element in the structure is not clear, and it will be evolving like a rolling wave method, then you can't use predictive, you use adaptive, because you build something small, feedback you receive, you will help you to build the next step. And that's why we have iterations in Agile or Sprint in Scrum. And then hybrid. It means that for you to take hybrid, it means the project has components of both predictive and hybrid. So you should know what will make you make such decision that this project is going to be handled predictively or handled adaptively or handled hybrid. That's what you'll be doing day one. Then the outcome is you will stop answering as how I work and start answering as how PMI expects. Okay, I don't have data, but most of people, based on feedback, even my students, when they're answering questions and maybe they feel A is the answer, but I come to say B, sometimes you can spend 30 minutes going back and forth. And from the way they talk, you can tell it's because that's how they are practicing within the organization. But hello, the exam is not created by your organization, it's created by PMI. So it makes sense for you to understand how PMI expect project to be managed. And in any case, it's been proven how PMI expect project to be managed is based on research findings, the outcomes from research. And with time, as you practice it, realize that PMI is actually right. Okay, so the one would help you establish like the framework. Okay. Then day 2, people domain. with focus on leadership styles and team formation. Taking it from the ECU, the exam content outline, the focus is lead a team. Lead a team, support team performance. You know that before you lead a team, you have to form the team. And forming the team is usually helpful when you have the team charter. The team charter would have the scope of the project, the roles highlighted with their corresponding responsibilities. So when you want to staff the people, your project, you know what roles, an architect, quantity surveyor, IT professional, a caterer, a secretary, and the responsibility. Secretaries will type, secretary will take minutes, and so when you put Jumoke there to be the secretary, Jumoke sees the responsibilities, So the team charter would help. But most importantly, here you should understand the 5 stages of team formation: the forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning, the characteristics, and how do you support your team to perform. You support them by even knowing their strengths. So you need to have conducted the strengths and the weaknesses of your team, their inspirations, and how to provide support. You see, once you know their weaknesses, you will know the kind of training that you need, you will know the kind of support that they require. All right. And for you to be able to do this, you must be emotionally intelligent. You must be, hear what people are not saying, be able to resolve conflicts and all that. So these are some of the areas that your questions will be based on if you focus on this exam content outline. And the topic says servant leadership. You see, because Africans, often when you are a leader, you load it on people. And we do this unconsciously. But as a project manager, you don't load your leadership on people. You serve. As a parent, when you serve, your children will automatically learn from you. Being selfless, preferring people and others before them. That is your role as a servant leader, where you exhibit the trait you want to see. You want respect. You are giving people respect. You don't want wastage. When you are passing, you put lights off. If you are not using the sensor one, that is what a servant leader does. And then situational leadership. Situational leadership means that you are behaving like water. So when you are poured in a container that is square, you take the shape. So based on your team members' exposure or their expertise and the nature of project, you adjust your leadership style to suit them. So if you have 5 people in your team, and one is very skillful, experienced, the way you would deal with that person is not the same way you would deal with a new entrant project manager. So situational leadership means that you are observant, you are watching things, you are listening, and you are paying attention to your team members. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Now, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence starts with you. Don't forget that you being emotionally self-aware, and then once you are aware of your emotions, then you manage them or you regulate them before you can now lead others. So it helps with the power skills, which most people call soft skills: the empathy, observation, active communication. Mastering your own emotion will help you. And the Tuckman stages, I mentioned it a while ago. There are 5 stages. Know which one is stage 3, which one is stage 4, because you may be tested on that. And then team charter. I explain what team charter is. You also need to know that, okay? And in the team charter, you have ground rules. How the team will behave, how they will resolve conflicts, how things will be escalated, how meetings will be held, will be there. From the angle of exam, always look out for questions that will ask, what should the project manager do first? So it presupposes that the options are possible actions for the project manager, but they want to know whether you know which of these 4 options will the project manager do first. Then you also need to know that you need to carry certain actions out before you escalate. So avoid going for options that would say escalate, escalate. before you escalate, you need to assess the situation at hand and then check whether it's within your threshold as the project manager before escalation. All right. Unless the question is specific about this is out of your threshold, your power or authority, escalation is not the first option at all. And then if your team members are having issues or maybe pertaining performance, you don't just replace the person. You are slowing us down, replace the person. That's what you will do in your organization, that is slowing the person because there's no time. We have a very tight timelines and all that. But PMI expect that you coach the person. How do you coach the person? You want to understand from the person's perspective what is going on, why are you having challenges, and then see how you can help the person. Do you reduce the responsibility? Do you provide some support to be able to do that? So look for options that is in that line. All right. Okay. So the action, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. The action for day 2 is that you should practice 30 to 40 situational questions and review wrong answers deeply. This is where you need simulators. What I've realized is that people want to write exam. They want to pass the PMP exam, but they don't want to spend money. Get good simulator that is time boxed, that you'll be able to answer questions on leadership styles, team formation. You have about 30 to 40 questions. And then you'll be able to review it after you've submitted. We'll score you and then tell you what answers are right, which ones are wrong, and give you the justification. Don't memorize the justification. Read to understand why an option is right. The reason why you need to read to understand the justification is in case you came across a similar question, you'll be able to apply your understanding to that. Now, day 3, we're still on people domain. Now you focus on conflict, motivation, and performance. So here you will address conflict. This is where you learn about how to resolve conflict, what is it called? Compromise, and what have you. Empower team members. Empowering team members is when you assign them to roles, you give them clear responsibilities, and empower them to be able to take decisions. They know their. Please, can you still see my screen?
No.
Sorry?
Yes, please.
There's
Okay.
nothing on the screen.
Sorry?
There's nothing on the screen. It says it's been paused.
All right. Let me reshare. Can you see it now?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay,
right.
now it's updated, yes.
All right. Because I was seeing a message here. That was why I asked whether you could see my screen. All right. So day 3, we are focusing on conflict, motivation, and performance. So you're empowering your team members. The topic, if you did this current 35-hour training, you see that the slides have been arranged in that format. So you focus on that, empowering team members, building trust. Building trust is, right on information, on you being open, on you creating a psychosocial environment where people can be themselves. That if I make a mistake, I will not be crucified. All right. And then you, the project manager, you are vulnerable. Okay, so I have discovered that vulnerability is actually from a place of strength. So I really don't, if I don't know something, I say I don't know it. You can't cut my head. You can't cut my head off. Because I know things that you don't know. So if you also know something that I don't know, I should be able to tell you that I don't know. And it doesn't matter whether it's your subordinate, it's your peer, or your superior. You don't know. If you as a leader behave in that manner, it makes it easier for your team members to also behave in that same manner. And then adhere to your team charter, how things will be handled. If you say there will be a reward the person. If you say there will be, you will reprimand for an action, make sure that that person is reprimanded. Avoid favoritism. So these are the things you are looking out for, And then the key topics that you'll be looking at here is conflict resolution techniques, how to resolve conflicts. Problem solving is the preferred option of conflict resolution. Why is it the preferred one? Because it tries to understand what the issue is before preferring solution. So when you're reading your question as well, don't jump into solving the question without investigating, assessing to understand what the issue is before you start solving the question. And in conflict resolution, you're looking for collaboration where you want to hear from the parties involved. All right. And also know the motivation theories. Maslow, that our needs are in hierarchy. The base one has to be addressed first before the actualization. And then Hesberg is the motivation theory. People are motivated if their working environment is improved, increase in salary, good improve working environment, and the other motivator, career growth. You need to know that. And then you need to know the theory X and Y, where X says people are lazy, you have to be on them. So that is more of authoritarian. And then theory Y says, no, people are not lazy. They know what they want to do. You don't need to push them, So you need to know the motivation theories. And then the psychological safety. This is what creates the psychosocial environment where people are free, to be able to do that. And it's the responsibility of the project manager to create that. So the angle of the exam that you should be looking at is that you face conflict directly. So when you are reading, you are checking your questions. Don't look for questions that says, okay, you don't want any conflict, so you are just letting it go. No, you have to problem solve. You have to find out what the issue is. The reason you do that is if you don't solve it now, it will raise its head later and it may become worse. Then, 2, private resolution before formal escalation. If they say there's conflict or somebody has done something, as a project manager, meet with the person first. Don't come to meeting and call the person, because sometimes there are options like that. So meet with the person, because that is PMI's way of conflict resolution. Meet with the person. If you're unable to resolve, then you escalate maybe to your program manager or your portfolio manager. Then collaboration over coercion. Never, ever, ever choose any option that encourages coercion. It's collaboration, hearing from this party, hearing from that party. And then so with the information we have, how do we go about this? Now, on the third day, practice conflict-heavy questions that are focused on conflict resolution. And of course, all through as you practice questions, you need to review them. In fact, your review time is a steady time. Don't do it and say, I'm just looking at the ones I got wrong and what I got right. It should be a time that you are writing, because you will come across an explanation or justification that you didn't know about. Okay. Now, day 4, we are now on people domain, stakeholders, and communication. You will focus on the exam content outline that talks about collaborate with stakeholders, manage communications. How will you collaborate with stakeholders if you don't know them? So it means you need to understand the identification of stakeholders, assessing them based on their power, influence, and interest. Then you categorize them, key stakeholders, in that descending order, so that you can engage them and come up with a communication management plan to know how you communicate with them, what frequency, what mode, what format, what content. All right. And then, you have virtual teams. That is if you have virtual teams or distributed teams. It means we cannot be in Ghana or we cannot be in Nigeria, but we are not in the same geographical location. That's the distributed teams. Then you have the virtual teams. So even though you seem to be in the same space, but you are actually not in the same space. That's why you are distributed. Then you have the virtual ones that you have interaction with over the internet. And there are ways that you need to engage with this team members so that they don't feel excluded. All right. So these are the key topics under these two topics: stakeholders and communication. Stakeholder engagement strategies. How would you manage them closely, keep them informed, then influence without authority. Your ability to be able to, sometimes you are working in a team. You have someone that has been appointed as the leader, but he or she struggles with passing information to the team members or the team members following him or her. Then you have someone that does not have title, but people listen to him. Like if they want to do this, let's go and ask Jumoke. So Jumoke, what should we do? In fact, when I was in uni, I remember that within my faculty of engineering, during an election, because we were fewer ladies, they would come to me. So Lafenwa, so who are we voting for? Sometimes I remember and I laugh because I didn't really have I don't even know the basis on which I was selecting who we should vote for, and everybody will go and vote for the person, So that is a form of influence. I didn't have any title. People just felt that this girl is sensible. Let's go and talk to her. And that's how you should be. So you have that power of the appointed project manager, but you need to work and go beyond just that, your authority, to your ability to influence. And that's what you are looking for in the question. You influencing, not you, imposing yourself. I'm the project manager here. Do you know who I am? Never get to the point that you ask people, do you know who I am? It's a sign of weakness, a sign of loss of identity. And then the virtual team challenge, how to keep them engaged, how to ensure that they are working and all that. And then you have to be culturally intelligent, so you don't look at things from your lens only. Recently, I've been struggling with my alumni, my university mates, my first degree university school. And we were talking recently, and one person was like, you can tell that these two people voted for two different presidential candidates, and then one of the presidential candidates is now the president, and the other is in opposition. Now, the one whose candidate won is expecting the one whose candidate is in the opposition to be commending his candidate that is the president. I said, it's not a must. You can't tell a grown-up that to you, the president has done well, so you must commend him. I said, you can't do that. Until today, we are still on it because he's saying, no, you have to say it. I said, you don't have to say it. So, project manager, you have to be culturally intelligent, to be mindful of people's culture, ethnicity, religion, or faith. You have to be mindful. So, on the angle of exam, you should look for proactive communication. Don't wait until problem occurs. Sometimes for people that can see and think ahead, they don't wait until problem occurs. So when you are taking action, people will be telling you, but there's no problem. But you have seen that if the action is not taken, a problem may occur. And that is proactive communication. I tell people the art of communication is providing information. Like when I'm talking to you, I'm trying to answer questions that you have not answered, that you have not asked me. So by the time I finish, you have less questions to ask. That is proactive communication. And then you need to tailor your messaging. How you will communicate with your key stakeholder is not the same way you communicate with a stakeholder that is not key. Ensure that you engage early and continuously. So on day 4, you are focusing on how to manage your stakeholders and how to communicate with them. And you are realizing that there's likely going to be questions that will test your understanding of you engaging your stakeholders early and continuously. I tell my students that the stakeholder register, the risk register, they are living documents. You don't say at the beginning of the project, you have identified your stakeholders, you have identified risk, and that's it. Even if the project is 1 year, 2 years, 3 years long, you have to be checking. So when you start your project, you identify your stakeholders, and periodically you'll be checking the stakeholders we identify. Did we identify all? Did we analyze them the same rightly? The basis of the analysis that enabled us categorize them, is it still relevant? As position change, that is the continuous thing that you'll be doing with your stakeholders. So the action you are going to take on the 4th day is that you practice stakeholder scenarios questions. Sometimes you see questions that are saying, and a key stakeholder is not during the close phase, is not signing off, as in validating the scope. What should you do? And the option will be drop the deliverables anyway, because in the narrative, it has said that it has met all the requirements. Is that what you will do? No. You need to engage the stakeholder. No, understand why the stakeholder doesn't want to sign. Show the stakeholder the scope based on the requirements you collected. And especially if it is predictive, how we were giving report and you were confirming that we were on track. So what is happening? Because you need to manage that stakeholder so that you'll be on the same page for you to deliver. So you'll be practicing a stakeholder scenario-based question. On day 5, we will now look at planning and approach selection. Approach selection is whether it's going to be predictive, adaptive, or hybrid. Plan and manage project scope. If it is predictive, this is where you go to stakeholders and collect requirements. What do you want to see in the project that tells you that you have that the project is successful? So you collect the requirements. In collection of the requirements, you are also verifying or analyzing or confirming the quality of the requirements you want to see. The requirements would help in developing acceptance criteria. Now, that's predictive. For adaptive, when the customer is working with the product owner and is coming with user stories, is coming with features that they want to see in the project, that's a form of requirements collection for adaptive. And where do you write all the user story, the features, the value that the customer wants? You write it in the product backlog. So that product backlog is a collection of the value the customer wants in the project. And you must also know that before the project team pick what they're going to work on, the product backlog has to be prioritized. The prioritization is based on the order of value creation the customer wants. Oh, I want 20 to be done first, then you put it on 1. Then you do for all, you prioritize, then you present the prioritized product backlog to the team. And then they pick what they can work on based on their iteration or the velocity. And velocity is based on the number of story points the project team can work on. All right? Then select appropriate project approach. So based on the scope of the project or the stakeholders or the value the project is to deliver, you now select whether we are going to go predictively, adaptively, or hybrid. So you need to understand predictive versus agile versus hybrid. Before PMI came out categorically to say that the PMP exam will be 60% adaptive and hybrid, people writing PMP kept saying that most of the questions are adaptive or predictive. So now it's clear, but not for you. If you are writing the exam in December, January 2026, February 2026, March 2026, April 2026, June 2026, it will still be this. But from July, we know categorically that the PMP exam is 60% agile and hybrid. But from feedback, it looks like that is what is prevailing. So you need to know the characteristics of predictive, agile, and hybrid. You also need to know the progressive elaboration. That progressive elaboration means that you have things to do. The one that you are carrying out right now, you will plan it into detail. So let's say we are building, we do foundation, we lay block, we plaster it, we do roofing, we do ceiling, we lay pipes for water, plumbing, we lay pipes for electrical wiring. Let's say we just go to site, they are digging for foundation. I can't be saying, the cable, I want this color, I want that, because we have not gotten there. I know we will get there. My concentration, if I'm doing progressive elaboration, will be on the digging of the foundation. And then, okay, so what is the ratio of cement, sandstone that we are going to mix? Because that is the act or task to be done now. So you plan it elaborately. Then when you get to the next task of laying blocks, you plan that too elaborately, like that. So that's progressive elaboration, which is based on rolling wave planning. As you get more information, you plan in detail. Then agile planning artifacts. This is where you have the sprint backlog. Like artifact is document that comes up in the course of the project. Now, from the from the exam perspective, you need to know when to use agile, and that is where there's unclear requirements. You want to start a project, but you're not so very sure of the content. Usually I use flyer for my student that, okay, I want to design a flyer, but I can't tell precisely the color I want, what I want, picture, the kind of font I want, but we know. I and the designer know that I want to design a flyer. So based on my unclear requirements, the designer cannot plan in detail as he would if it were to be predictive. So it has to be agile or adaptive. So he does something, he brings it, I give feedback, he goes back to work on my feedback, comes back, like that until I get something that I want. All right. So if you want to use agile, it's because the requirements are unclear. Then regulatory or fixed scope. If you have a scope that is fixed, you are building 7-bedroom hospital, you are designing a website that can take 100 people at a go. It's predictive. You know exactly what the outcome will be, so you use predictive. Then if it is mixed, you have a portion of it clear, a portion of it not so clear, you will use hybrid methodology. Again, you will practice approach selection questions and then review wrong answers deeply. Even I tell people, review everything, because when it comes to the review, all the questions will come. So you can tell, okay, so yeah, I got this right. What is the explanation again? Just as a form of reading. And I said, when you are reviewing, is a steady time for you. Day 6, this is where you look at schedule, cost, and quality. This is where you have small calculations. You manage schedule. For you to manage schedule, it means you have a baseline. So that is where you do if it is predictive, you do your WBS, web breakdown structure. And remember, web breakdown structure does not work alone. It works with its dictionary, because the dictionary is what explains what the schematic diagram, let's put like an engineer, what the diagram is presenting. Okay. And now, when you do your WBS, you have the project, you have a you have deliverable, then you have sub-deliverable, and then you have work packages. And also remember that the lowest part of WBS are work packages. So you have the work packages. All right. What do? You break the work package. So that is WBS. But in estimation, you break the work packages down into activities. So you have activity list. In the activity list now, you pick each out of the activity. How long will it take to do this? Now that estimation, you can do it through analogous parametric 3 points or bottom up. Bottom up is just pick one. How much is this? How long will it take for us to sweep? How long will it take for us to paint? How long will it take? So now you have the estimation, then you aggregate everything. That will tell you how long the possible duration of the project. Now, from the activity list that you have its duration now, you create your network diagram. Now, when you are creating your network diagram, you don't say, this activity, I want it to be on critical path. No, you develop your network diagram based on precedence and dependency. Like, naturally, which one will come first? based on this. Okay, all right, these two activities can start at the same time, based on that, naturally. So it's a rational flow. Now, when you finish, you now calculate the duration. You've already made the estimation of each activity. Then you aggregate each. So the aggregation of each network, the path, will tell you the duration of the path. Now, the longest of all the paths will now be the critical path. That tells you that is the earlier time or the earliest time the project can be complete. All right. Now, because you have that now, you now want to manage it. You want to ensure that all the tasks on the critical path are done within the specified timeline so that there's no schedule overrun. The same with cost. So this thing that I explained, you aggregate, you have your baseline cost, you have your baseline schedule, and that will help you to be able to manage it. The same with quality. I said when you are collecting requirement, you're also trying to define what the quality will be. Quality is actually looked at from two angles, from what your organization see as quality, and good organization would adhere to a standard, right? And then within the sector that you are operating. And I say smart organization will go a step further, like icing on the cake. That's what makes you a premium brand, in terms of quality. And now, managing quality too, you will have to remember cost of quality, money you spend on quality related issues. So cost of quality, preventive. This is where you spend money to build quality into products or the process, where you give enough time, you train people, you give them the right equipment to do it. And the reason why you are doing this is to prevent error. You don't want error to occur. And another cost is inspection and testing. All right. So this will keep errors away. Now, you also have cost you expended because error has occurred. So you could have scrap or rework. And then the fourth one is when the cost is now the poor quality is now in the hands of customers. That's when they will ask for warranty, they will ask for maybe it could turn to litigation, or you can lose customer. So when you think about quality, think about all what I just said now. So I already spoke about critical path, quality versus grade. They are different. Prevention over inspection. You building quality into products or process will prevent error from occurring, which is better than inspection. And then you have the EVM. Please, that one will come. Now, it is not so much about calculating EVM, because sometimes they will give you the end value, the planned value, the actual cost, and they will tell you what the SPI is, the Shadow Performance Index is, and then, or tell you what the cost performance index is, and tell you, ask you, what does it mean? So you need to know what 0.75 CPI means, what 0.9 SPI means, yeah. But also know the formula in case you are asked to calculate, but know how to interpret the figure. So trend analysis, like what I said, it's not about, don't be obsessed with math and say you have to memorize the formula. So it's not enough memorizing the formula, but you understanding the figures and be able to explain what it means. Then quality planning before control, like building quality into process, you are likely going to come across questions like that. Then fix root cause, not symptoms. This is why where Ishikawa or the 5 whys is relevant, because we are not just saying there's problem. Oh yeah, let's solve it. Why is this problem? What is causing it? Understanding that, a moment, please. Understanding that will help you solve the problem and prevent future occurrence of same problem. All right, so fix root cause. This takes time. If you are not emotionally intelligent, you will not be able to do it. So if you are looking for shortcuts, you may want to, what is it? It's okay, everybody just go. No, that's sweeping it under the carpet. The action is also that you should try and practice analytical scenario questions where you solve EV, CV, SV, CPI, SPI, estimate at completion, estimate to complete, and all that. So this is what you will do on day 6. Remember, when we started, I said you have to be committed to spending 2 to 3 hours daily for these 14 days. That's when it will work. Okay. And I work from 8 to 5 and I leave home 6 o'clock, and I understand. But if you go to 8, 7, sleep, eat, sleep, take your bath, sleep, then wake up 2:33 a.m. to study. Nobody send you. I usually say you want PMP just for 2 weeks. Okay, so this is for those who are already certified. Please scan this for your PDU and fill the forms. Scan it today, so that I can just get it done. If I'm unable to do it collectively, when I finish and you send yours as an individual, it makes it difficult for me. Okay, so day 7. Now let's look at risk and procurement. Also know that if you are not getting anything from a third party in your project, procurement no be your concern. It doesn't concern you. You only talk about procurement when you need something from someone outside your organization, which we call third party, and it has its process. You have to have a procurement strategy. You have to have procurement plan. You have to have defined in the plan how you are going to source for vendors, whether you are going to have bid conference. In fact, how are you going to even create the awareness that there is a need? Are you going to post it in the print media or electronic media or the notice board in the organization? That should be clearly spelled out in the procurement plan. All right. For you to manage project risk, it means that you have identified risk. And remember, you identify risk through maybe brainstorming, DeFi techniques and all that, and then you analyze them. Remember, there are 2 ways to analyze risk. One, the first one is qualitative, which is subjective. That is where you determine the likelihood of a risk occurring and then the impact. And also remember that qualitative assessment is done on every single identified risk. So now, because you've determined the likelihood of risk occurring and its impact, it will help you to categorize the risk based on their level of the possibility of they occurring and their impact. Then you can now conduct your quantitative assessment. So if you see anything simulation is quantitative, and the quantitative assessment is conducted on the prioritized risk only. So you need to have done this, then you now come up with your contingency reserve. Contingency reserve is the amount of money and time required to handle identified risk. That will be how you are going to respond to the identified risk. So we call them known unknown. Known unknown. And the contingency reserve, which will be part of your budget, and it is under the control of the project manager. Then we have unknown unknown. These are risks that in the course of identification, you could not identify them. But then, if they should occur, how would you resolve or handle them? It would be through management reserve. That management reserve, the amount, is not under the control of the project manager. It's not under the budget that the project manager will be controlling. But you need to be aware that there is something like that. Okay? Then procurement, I've explained that how you are going to do procurement. And once you select your vendor, you need to come up with contract. And you know that we have types of contract. We have a cost reimbursable, we have fixed price, and then we have time and material. And so you also need to understand, it's not enough to identify and manage risk. You need to know the strategies in addressing the risk, avoid, mitigate, transfer, accept. This is for negative risk. Okay, so when it comes to you project manager handling risk, the focus is usually on negative risk. Now, know the difference between risk and issues. Risk are things that may occur in the future. They have not occurred now. So when you're reading your question, look out for it telling you that it may happen. It has the tendency to occur. So that's risk. And they may have negative or positive outcome. Issues, they have occurred. They have only one outcome, negative. Okay. Now, the risk you identified, when it becomes issue, you respond by maybe avoiding, mitigating, transferring, or just accepting. Now, if it is a risk that you did not plan, you didn't identify, you did not analyze, and it's okay, how you resolve it is what we call workaround, because you have to think right there and resolve it. Okay, and usually it is from management reserve. So know the difference between contingency reserve and management reserve. And then the contracts. If there's procurement, there will be contract. From the exam angle, you respond to risk proactively. Don't say, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what will happen. No. Then share risk appropriately. Once you identify risk, and you come up with the risk triggers, assign them to your team members. We call them risk owners. They are the ones that will be looking out for the risk. If it has occurred, then implement the responses, as planned. Then the contract type, based on certainty. Your action is also to practice risk-driven questions. This is why you need simulator. You cannot be going to Google and risk-driven questions. No, pay for good simulator. Okay. Then day 8. Now look at execution, change, and integration. This execute project with urgency. It's a reflection of the project management principles for the practitioners. Don't just whatever may be. The focus, like laser focus on the value, the goal the project is to deliver, and then you manage changes. It means you're on the lookout for possible changes. So for predictive, you know how changes are managed. It is through the change control board. You have to document you have to analyze the change request, assess it, and then the impact on time, on cost, on other things, quality, and all that. And then you present it to the change control board for them to make decisions. Don't just say, someone is saying we should go left. What does that mean? And then they can make decision. Whatever decision, whether they accept or reject, you have to document it. So you have a change log. Okay, so that's for predictive. How do you handle change in adaptive? It's through the product backlog. See, when the customer comes and say, I don't want this again, or I want this modified, whatever the customer says, the product will now itemize them in the product backlog, and then later prioritize before the project team can pick what they are going to work on. So that is how requirements change is handled in adaptive methodology. Okay, so change control process. When you are reading any question and you say change control process, please, it is predictive or hybrid, because hybrid has a component of predictive in it. So agile changing handling, I just explained it through the product backlog, benefit tracking. When it comes to projects, as project manager, it is not just you delivering. That's what you ask us to do, you have delivered. What is the problem? You are checking the benefit. So in the first lesson, business environment, we spoke about the business analyst conducting needs assessment and determining gap. That needs assessment and the gap, the business analyst would have to go and justify why they should pick this project. In fact, the project selection is through maybe NPV, net present value, payback, opportunity cost, and all that. Then the project will be selected. But in the selection, the value or the benefit the project would bring is part of what management will take the decision that, okay, in that case, okay, so this project, if you're able to execute it in 2 years, okay, so our investment we recoup in the first 6 months, that's fine. And then by the end of the year, we would have double, okay, that's okay. Those are the benefits. So the benefit itself does have what we call benefit management plan. And then that is not done by the project manager, by the way, it's done by the business analyst or whoever is initiating the project. And the project manager understanding this benefit management plan would help tremendously in planning the project. So and how do you track benefits? It means the benefit management plan, there should be metrics, how to measure it, that we have achieved this or we have not achieved that, or we have achieved only 50% of the benefits. Okay, so that's how you track it. So for the exam angle, no gold plating, no matter how it is planned or presented, and to make the customer happy, you are considering doing extra. That extra should be part of the scope you plan. Because Africans, we are used to when you go to market and you buy something, you ask for jara. I don't know. I hope all of you understand what jara is. In project management, you don't ask for jara. You don't ask for jara. And then the formal change handling. For predictive, you know the process. For adaptive, you know the process. So when you see it in your exam, you know what it is. The backlog requirements in Agile, so that I explained, the customer tells you what they want to see through story, user story, through features. I want to see this feature, then everything is highlighted. And sometimes, if you are doing ACP or you are doing Scrum exam, you will know that you assign story points to each of the items, because that is what will help the project team know that, okay, maybe their velocity is 100 points. So when they are picking based on 100 points. Let's say the first one is 20, the next one is 40, the next one is 20, that makes it 80. And then the next one is 50. They cannot pick the 50, they will pick the 80 and go. And they cannot skip, because the items in the product backlog has been arranged in the order of preference to the project, to the customer. I'm seeing text, so okay. Someone is explaining Jara. Thank you, Damilola. Good to have you on the call. And so, like for previous days, you practice questions on change management scenario, and then you review the answers again. Then day 9, compliance and value. Compliance actually is seen as a source of risk to the project, because if you're supposed to comply and you don't, it has its repercussions. So which area of the ECO are you going to focus on? Ensuring compliance. Ensuring compliance, it means when you start your project, you have compliance checklist that you are ticking. Have we done this? We are supposed to take permits. We're supposed to do this. We're supposed to do that. And then the reason why you are executing project is because of value. It's not because of anything. And that's why I tell people, if you are in a group, project team, it's nice that you are friendly, but that's not the reason. The reason why you are together is to deliver value, because management is looking at bottom line. So you need to evaluate and deliver business value. Business value usually is handled by a portfolio. So you have the organization, they will have their strategy, and then from the strategy, they will come up with how to execute, maybe initiatives and all that. And that will fall under portfolio. And then from the portfolio, you have program. You know what portfolio and programs, what they are. I'm assuming you know what they are. And then you have projects. So project is like a unit to get program, to get portfolio achieved. And once you achieve that, you will meet the organizational strategy. That is the essence, the reason why the organization exists. Okay, so you have to be conscious as you're managing your project. You know that we are managing this project to help the organization achieve this strategic value. All right, so regulatory environment, and you have a lot of prompt list to be able to determine what you are supposed to comply to. You have VUCA, VUCA, you have PESTLE, you have SWOT analysis to help you determine this. And of course, benefits realization, because you're talking about value. So you need to be able to determine that you have realized the value, the benefit that the business analysts use in convincing management to approve the project. And then whatever you are doing, you are mindful that it's aligning to the strategic positioning of the organization. So compliance is non-negotiable. So if you saw any question that if you did something will go against you adhering to compliance, it's a no matter how it's sugar-coated. And escalate ethical breaches. There are ethical breaches, escalate them sharp. All right. Now, value realization is not the same as output delivery. So we have moved from just deliverable to outcome. So outcome is actually the value. It's like an ongoing thing. So you've delivered your output, let's say in your organization. I think it's become my favorite example now. Different departments. So if you want to print, you have to get up and walk to a distance before you print. Or if you want to share documents with the department, you have to. So they did intranet there. So there's a need for intranet. Let's say IT department now deliver the intranet, but we are still going through the same stress. Before the intranet they delivered the output, it means that the outcome is not favorable to the organization. We are not getting value. But if after they delivered the intranet, you can just sit behind there's somebody is sitting behind the what is it called, the printer, you send, they bring it to you. Oh, nice. You are in IT department, you want to share a document with someone in admin, just use your internet paper, you put it in a folder, they can have access to it. So it means the output is delivering the desired outcome, which is value to the organization. So the money spent on this intranet will not be wasted. So of course, you practice business value related questions on day 9. Now, day 10, PMI's strongest exam area, hybrid and agile. Whether you like it or yes, it will come. So pay attention to it. So agile rules and ceremonies, Scrum Master, product owner, customer, team, project team, product backlog, stand-up meeting, review meetings, retrospectives. You need to know them. And then product owner versus project manager. What role are they playing? Remember, in adaptive, there's somebody saying, sit down. Yeah, there's a meeting and I'm directing you. No, they are self-organizing. They are what? Self-organizing, which is different. Product owner is the voice of the customer and is responsible for value creation. You may want to ask me, so how is it responsible for value creation? When the customer is telling the product owner, I want to see this, I want to see that, and the product owner is itemizing them in the product backlog, that is the value creation. Because whatever is presented in the product backlog and prioritized and presented to the project team, that's what they are going to pick from to work on. And that is the value they are creating. So the product owner is responsible for value creation and is the voice of the customer. The project manager goes through the plan and facilitates and directs people and all that. So you should know the difference. And there's servant leadership in Agile. That is what is preferred. Serving your team members, removing impediments, providing support and all that. And then scaling basics, right? Then from the perspective of the exam, project manager acts as facilitator. Agile team, they self-organize. Customer collaboration over contract rigidity. This is one of the values of Agile. That instead of saying this is it, but you collaborate, you get feedback from the stakeholders or the customer, which influences how things are done. In fact, it is very rare that when iteration is completed, for a customer to say, no, this was not what I asked you to do. And also remember that when an iteration is ongoing, you can't change the work within the iteration. So let me quickly run through how it is done. The project team picks the work or the user story or the features from the product backlog. Then they sit down. Then it's like, I want jollof with turkey. I would have been surprised if I didn't use food as example in I want jollof and turkey. That is what is in the product backlog. When the project team picks it, they will now look for the work in getting the jollof and the fried rice done. Okay, so we need rice. We need fresh tomatoes and tomato puree. We need this, we have to season the turkey. We have to air fry the turkey. We have to do this. So those are the works that will get the jollof and the turkey done. Then they will also have iteration backlog. So iteration backlog contains work that will be executed in an iteration. Product backlog contains value or user story or epic or features that the customer says he or she wants. So there are two different things. Okay. Of course, so you look for agile heavy questions, attempt them, and review. Day 11, if you are here and you are PMP certified and you will need PDU, please scan this and complete the form. Day 11, so we have covered the entire ECO or the major topics under ECO. So you will need a full mock exam. Full mock exam means that you are going to attempt 180 questions under exam conditions. So you look for a simulator that is time boxed, that is 30 minutes. You sit down, you answer the question. Because some people, when they go to write exam, they are in shock because they can't sit for that long. They have not practiced it. So it's coming to them as a shock. I'm not talking about the people who are resitting, because those people who are resitting, they have gone through the fire small. So they know, they have idea what to expect. So if you have never written PMP exam before, and I am hoping that what we are doing with Energize will empower you to be able to write the exam, and I'm praying that you will pass at your first sitting by God's grace. Look for simulator that has 180 questions and attempt them. Time boxed. Then after you are finished, analyze your performance and categorize your mistakes based on knowledge gap. That this one, I don't know it. There are some questions when you see, even if they gave you the entire day, you don't know it. You have never heard the word before. What is this? That will be a knowledge gap. Write it down. Mindset issue. You got this wrong because, oh, okay, but this is how we do it in my organization. Write it down. Misread questions. Sometimes people read question and they overlook not. Maybe what the project manager should not do. Then they will answer the question as what the project manager should do. So misread question, write it down. When you are doing the post-exam analysis, that is when learning happens. It's not during when you are attempting the question. When you are reviewing, because this is reviewing, and you are structuring your area, the areas that you need to improve. Whether it's a knowledge gap. Knowledge gap means you don't know it, so you have to go and read. Either you refer to your glossary, or you refer to your PMBOK, or you refer to ChatGPT, refer to any resource. All right. Then mindset issue. This one, maybe these are what we do in our home, things like that. So this is where you make notes. Okay. Then day 12, the weak areas, you focus on them. You restudy weakest ECO task identified. You need to balance this, because sometimes people will say, I don't have problem with people. I only have problem with process and the business environment. Then they will leave the people. They will not do anything about it. Please, as you are focusing on the areas where you are weak, you are also trying to revise. So you are apportioning time. I like apportioning time. I can say, okay, I can even apportion a day. Today, the first time I'm going to study, I'm going to focus on the weakest aspect that I don't know much. Why I will focus on the weakest is, one of the strategy of studying is when you are tired, don't read. Take a nap. You can take power nap. Power nap could be 20 minutes, 30 minutes. If you are taking power nap, though, you need someone to wake you aside your alarm, because sometimes the body is just tired. So when you wake up, try as much as possible to study within the first 30 minutes you woke up. So you wake up, brush your teeth, wash your face, take a cold shower so that you can wake up properly. Your brain ability is the highest at that point. So that is why I will dedicate that earlier time to my weakest area. And then when I'm reading one line 2-3 times, I will go to my strength area. All right. So you will read explanations, not just answers. When you are reading when you finish and you are checking the justification, understand the explanation. Don't memorize questions or answers, because you may not see the same question, but the rationale behind or the reasoning behind how the question was asked, you may come across similar, but you're not going to see the same question. in the exam. So don't just look at the answer that the answer is C. Why is it C? Understand the principle behind it. So I got some tip. If two questions feel right, because I've said even the exam, most of the questions, they have two answers. I hear you. I felt the same way when I wrote and failed. In fact, I felt like requesting for my script because I just felt PMI made mistake. It's not possible. But as I study, I realized that I was really wrong. So if two options feel right, PMI wants the one that is proactive, one that shows collaboration, one that shows value driven, is driven by value creation, and one that is ethical. So sometimes you come across question, you don't know the answer. Read the options and see which of them fits this. Select that. That is likely going to be the answer. Don't forget to scan this if you want PDU. Then the 13 is when you will now attempt your second full mock exam, which will also be 180 questions. You see, when you want to assess yourself, don't use the exam you have reattempted to assess yourself. Your first attempt is what shows your strength. Your second attempt or retakes shows that you have learned from your first attempt, the review of the previous attempts. So what you are doing now on day 13th through the full mock exam set 2 is you are mastering time. You are checking your confidence under pressure. I mean, you first get to exam, your fingers are shaking. You are thinking, hey, I paid $284. The money should not burn. Oh my God. I told everybody I'm coming to write the exam. Or I should not fail, like that. Hey, what if I forget everything that I've read? And so this helps, help in balancing your confidence under pressure. And then once you finish attempting the quiz here, you flag recurring traps. This escalating too early, you will come across it in the exam. Don't escalate without you doing something like a project manager solving problem, because that is one of the things you do as a project manager. Now, don't take any option that encourages you skipping stakeholder engagement. The project is not about you. It's about your stakeholders. So you cannot skip engaging them. So these are some of the traps that you come across in a good simulator, and you will come across it in your exam as well. Also, another trap is ignoring business value. You are just working. I just want to work. Yeah, you just want to work, but is it answering to business value? Because that is what would be strategically aligning to what the organization wants. And then on the 14th day, final exam readiness and reset. I tell people, it's not the day of the exam or a day before the exam that you are not sleeping, you are not eating, you are everywhere. Oh my God. That's not what you do. So day 14, do not cram. What I've also realized is that when you spend time over and over on a topic, you remember it easily. You can't just look at something once under pressure and you expect that you remember. So don't cram. Review conflict strategies, because there will be questions on conflict strategies, how to handle change, agile versus predictive triggers. And you have to be mentally ready. Be calm. One of my strategies when I enter exam, I tell people I have about 6 or 7 PMI certifications. There is none that I was going and say, yeah, I have studied, I've read everything. There is none. But when I get to the exam hall and I click on start, I believe in God, I believe in prayer. I pray and I consciously take deep breaths. I breathe in deeply and I release through my mouth slowly. I do it multiple times. It calms me down. And I tell myself, I am passing this exam. And even if I fail, the world will not come to an end, but I'm passing it. So it helps me calm down. And then I can, in my mind, I remember that, I came across this, in that my notes. Yeah. Because I'm calm, I'll be able to remember. And I balance it with speed. So on the computer at the top right corner, there will be your time, and it's a countdown. So when it will amaze you, I'll write the 2:30 minutes down. Then I will look at the time and do manual subtraction so that I will know what I have left. Then I look at the questions that I've attempted, but I try to be calm. It is better than you not reading the question to an end, then you're answering, then you finish. You are surprised that you didn't do well. Read last sentence first, because the last sentence is the question. What should the project manager do? What shouldn't the project manager do? What should the project manager do first? So once you know what the question is, you go now to read the scenario. All right. Then, okay, what should the project manager do first? What should the project manager do first? My presentation is based on Jumoke. I have tried it. If I want to write, let's say I want to write PGMP right now, I would come up with this 14 days. Once I finish my training, I'll come up with the 14 days and write the exam. And it's been helping me. Sleep well. Sleep well. Don't get to the exam hall and say you are having headache and you are seeing a doctor. Even though the last exam I wrote the CP, I was actually dozing because I wasn't feeling well. But thank God I passed. So sleep well so that, you will be alert when you're writing the exam. And those of us that believe in prayer, there's a scripture that says that the Holy Spirit will bring to your remembrance. If you have not put anything there, there's nothing for the Holy Spirit to work with. So you need to put something for the Holy Spirit to guide you or remind you. Okay? So my final advice, this is the final slide. PMP success is judgment under ambiguity, not memory. People fail because they've memorized something. But PMP is checking how your judgment, how you address situation when there's ambiguity or complex situation on the midst of people. That's what they are testing. So if you don't know a PMI's value, ethics, you are likely going to not understand the question. You will pass if you consistently think. Anytime you pick a question, people first, because no matter your goal, no matter your plan, it will be executed through people. So you have to think about the people that will work, not only the people that will work, stakeholders as well, sponsors as well, and then plan before react. Don't see problem and say, what is it? Fire, where? You need to understand what is the problem. Then you plan before you address it. Then focus on value before outputs. The value that you want to get from the project would actually help in planning. If you don't want soggy rice, because that is the value you want, when you are preparing your rice, the amount of water you will add to the rice will be informed by the kind of texture rice you want. Okay. I hope this has been productive and the time you have spent with me is worthwhile. So this is the end. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube as Jumoke Lafenwa, and also follow my company, Okim Valley Limited, the same name on the same social media. And we are on TikTok as Jumoke Lafenwa and Okim Valley. Don't forget to scan this if you want PDU. And this is the time for you to ask your question. Thanks for your audience. Any question for me? Thank you. Yes, you can skip question. You mark it. There are buttons for you to mark. So you mark the questions. Now the exam is broken into 3. The first 60, it would bring all your responses and show you where you have marked, and you can now answer and then submit that portion. Once you submit, you can't go back to the first 60 questions. Then you do the next 60 questions, the same process, the marked and whatever, you submit, and then you do the last 60 questions. So yes, you can skip. The exam should be at an authorized place, or I can do it at home using my laptop. Oh yes, you can do it at home using your laptop. But me, I advise my students to go to exam center, because the authorized center, if there are issues, because I knew there were issues when I was president, when some people's laptop went off, internet blinked. Once it goes off, PMI takes it that you have completed the exam. It doesn't matter whether you did only 5, you did 1, you have completed. So you have to pay for receipt. But if you have good internet connection, why not? Do it at home. Most welcome. Thank you. Yesterday was my birthday. I'm grateful. Okay. Do you have any question for me? If you want
Hello.
the slides, I will share the slides with you. Why not?
Okay.
Yes, hi. Is there any question? I heard somebody's voice.
Yes.
Okay.
Jumake, thank you so much for your presentation this evening. It's a very powerful one. Did you say you will share this prayer or not?
If you're interested, I will share the slides with you.
Okay. I look forward to that if possible.
Okay, I'll share it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. There's a question here. Can I take the exam anytime, or I have to get it done this? Oh, no, you can take it anytime. But why don't you want to do it in December? Do it in December. You can do it anytime. What you have now can take you to June 2026. And even PMI is responding so fast. My students applied for PMP on Saturday, and by Sunday, they have received approval. Those that received approval, they received it the following day. I have not experienced that before. And so because the exam is changing, there will be rush. So if you can do it December, do it. But if you know yourself, if you can't do it, you can move it. Yes, Gold.
Thank you very much, Jumoke,
Most
and
welcome.
the insightful presentation. I was just wondering, we have over, no, to be precise, 50 quizzes on the Okin platform, which some of us are attempting to complete before moving to the simulation. So, do you have any recommendation as to how best to, what the best approach is? Because 50 quizzes, completing them and also getting to understand the explanation provided, especially on questions that we probably got incorrectly, takes time. So what should be, in your experience, what would be the best approach?
The best approach is for you to attempt all. Now, let me tell you how the questions are framed. If you looked at the quizzes, they are based on the lessons. So that's the only time you can test or affirm that you have mastered the topic. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have lesson 1, quizzes on that, lesson 2, quizzes on it. Then when you finish, you get to the exam, and it prepares you for the exam. But you can skip if you think you want the exam straight, because the exam, you have 50 questions, 100 questions, then 180 questions. Yes, you can get only the exam simulator, Melvin. Golda, please, did that answer your question?
Yes. So we'll never be able to do the 2 weeks preparations now in terms of timing, because then I'll have to complete the 50 quizzes first and then move on to the 2 weeks extensive preparation.
Okay.
Mm.
But you can do what you think works for you. Go there.
Okay. This is
Yeah.
working with the quizzes because it's providing more details and information and more information on what we've done during the 35 hours. So thank you.
But you've started the quizzes, right?
Yes.
Okay. You can, you know yourself, so you can, like someone asking that, does he have to write the exam in December? Some people, they can't do the 14 days. I've been saying that you should be able to prepare and write exam in 2 weeks. And some people they asked, so how do we do it? So I said, okay, I'll give you a roadmap, So for you to do this, you should have done some work before structuring these 2 weeks. You have completed your 35-hour training, and you have probably completed the quizzes, because the quizzes, you should have completed the quizzes during the training, because you do lessons 1 and 2, week 1 on Saturday, the first Saturday, second Saturday, and you had about 2 weeks for that. You could have, that is the plan. You should have completed all the quizzes during the training period. So on the 6th Saturday that you apply for the PMP exam, you have finished the quizzes. You are left with exam. You understand? Yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. But it didn't happen like that. Then it means maybe you will need more than 2 weeks. The truth of the matter is, the more questions you solve and the more understanding you have of their corresponding justifications, put you in a better position to understand the questions. But be mindful that the questions are your ability to understand situation and apply the principles and your understanding to solving the question. You understand? Yeah. So that's it. So Archibald asks, how do I contact you for what do you mean by for one-on-one? I know I've shared my WhatsApp number, but if you want, what do you mean by one-on-one? You can unmute your mic and so if you can scan this, and I would have your email addresses if you scan this, and I can send to all of you from the email address. I can share the slides with all of you. So please scan this. Some people say they don't have the PMI ID. Just put 000 there. And this will also help me assign PDUs as well. Please, any other question? All right. And
Hi, so sorry. So with one-on-one, I meant like
Which of
if I
the
need,
two QR codes should we scan?
this one, scan for PDUs, this one. Can you see it?
hello?
Yes,
Can you see the screen?
I'm scanning, but I'm not even seeing it.
You are not seeing what?
You told us to scan, and then we'll have an access to be able to get you will have access to
No.
our emails.
So when you scan, it's a form. You fill the form. Then after this session, I would pick the email addresses and send the slides to you.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
All right,
Welcome.
thank you.
Yeah. Someone was saying something before that came in.
Yeah, so I was saying that, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I'm done with the 35-hour course, and that was like 2 months ago. I was quite busy to like I'm still doing the quizzes and all. But like if I need like what I mean by one-on-one, like the simulator, if I need somebody to tutor me for, let's say, for 2 weeks or 3 weeks before I take the exam, like can I contact you, or is it possible?
Let's have this conversation offline.
All right,
It's
so I'll
possible.
contact you on WhatsApp.
We do one-on-one session, but I would like to understand what you mean by tutoring.
All right, so I'll contact you on WhatsApp if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine. I
Oh,
shared
thank
my
you.
number already. Yeah, so
Okay.
thank you very much. The same Zoom link next week, Monday, we'll come up with a topic. For the remaining part of this year, we'll be focusing on PMP related, because I'm hoping I'll be able to support as many as possible to write their PMP in 2025 by God's grace. Yeah. So on this note, I'll say good night. Have a wonderful evening. And since you have my WhatsApp, let's keep talking. Amen. Let's keep talking, okay? Okay. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Jumake. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.